I is a beautiful word in English. I denotes individuality, independence, to establish one's own identity in this society, which usually means freedom to oneself. There are four stages that the individual goes through in a loving relationship. So, in the first stage, giving priority to I is the most important thing to oneself to feel satisfied and achieve happiness in one's own life, which means individual thoughts, emotions are utmost valued by this individual, and he or she enjoys this feeling. So, usually in this stage, I behaves like master, which means that I know statements like I know what I'm talking about, you do what I say, I know what I'm doing, etc. This attitude works being single, and the situation becomes complicated when you're or when the particular individual is committed though. When two individuals are coming together in the name of love, which means two different I's or identities from different families, environments, values are coming together in the process of love. This is where, when situations come, one's own identity is challenged with disagreements or conflicts by the other half. Even though that particular individual will have initial resistance to give up on one's own individuality, slowly but surely one has to understand that holding to I or identity in a relationship will lead to conflicts. If one doesn't make a transition from I to you, that particular individual will resort to demanding the other half to satisfy his or her own needs, holding I preciously, which creates more and more conflicts and eventually unhappiness for that particular individual. Individuals who cross this mental barrier understands through rising conflicts that it's not I but you needs to be given priority and preference to reduce conflicts. So the individual moves to the second stage where you will become a master and I am your slave. So individuals in this stage realizes that it's all about giving priority to the other person and not about you to lessen the conflicts. Statements in daily life like tell me what to do, repeating I am sorry, whatever you say, I'll just do it, etc. etc. In this stage, individual sacrifices his or her time, money, energy fully towards the other person and compromises whenever needed, not necessarily willingly, though, just to make sure no conflict arises. Even though there won't be any conflicts, as one gave himself or herself into the relation, this particular individual gets tired of his or her involvement without any life satisfaction over a period of time. There are so many out there in the society who drag their life with a lot of mental burden, with their tiresomeness, just to make sure conflicts doesn't arise by over sacrificing, over committing, and over compromising. This individual doesn't realize that through conflicts one can grow in this stage and be happy about his or her life if that particular individual knows how to resolve the conflicts, thereby entering the third stage. And in the third stage, individual understands that there is no master, no slave in our relationship, and it's all about collaboration between each other. So situation demands individual to learn conflict resolution strategies where he or she realizes that it's not about I, it's not about you, it's all about us, which means resolving conflicts with reasoning, having further discussions understanding pros and cons of each approach suggested by each of the individual, being situational rather than emotional, respecting each other's view even when they are diametrically opposite views, influencing the other person without the authority, prioritizing discussions rather than arguing about everything in life, building choices rather than being compulsive in nature, understanding one's own weaknesses and working on them to convert those weaknesses into strengths. So once the individual learns these conflict resolution strategies, coping strategies, the individuals finally move to a fourth stage or a final stage where both understand that they have to be flexible with their thoughts and emotions in the relationship. Their search for love has finally paved a path for blossomed love, and the flowering has happened between them finally. And it's up to both the individuals to ensure that the flowering continues by not going back to the previous stages whenever there is a disagreement or a conflict between them. Once both understands this stage, a breath of fresh air creeps into their relationship. One really falls in love with the other half. Their mingling happened not just physically, but a love chemistry happened between these two lovers mentally. This love chemical bonding is what gives to happy long-term relationship. It's like going in a cruise mode, and the time, even though it's a long-term relationship, these individuals, if they go to this final stage, really realizes that the time that they have spent with each other is very very short, and they love each other so much. So love each other forever, happy loving.